Barry Habib, you grew up in extreme poverty, and then you started your career as a street vendor. And since then, you have created multiple successful companies. You became an international speaker, a Broadway producer, a mortgage broker, and now you became the author of Money on the Street. Barry, thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's really it's a pleasure to be here.
So you have quite an amazing story. To begin with, you are just lucky to exist because the circumstances for your existence were quite grim. Can we start with that? I mean, how is it that you are so lucky to be alive?
Well, I think first of all, we all are, right? And I think that's a great way to look at it. I start my day every day with gratitude, but specific for me, my parents were immigrants. They came here. They were very poor because the government took everything that they had. So they came here, 6 suitcases, my parents with the 2 children who were teenagers and didn't speak English. And my dad had to humble himself, work in a hot dog stand. My mom had to humble herself, work in a sweatshop where they make dresses. And it was very, very difficult in a 2-bedroom apartment with 1 bathroom. And then they find out, guess what? They're pregnant. Mom's pregnant with me. And at that point in time, my dad was 57, my mom was 40. Now, those ages today might not be as outrageous, but back then that was pretty rare to see parenting at that age. And listen, I kind of snuck in there because how about this for being lucky? I was conceived just before birth control came on the market, literally months before birth control. Wow. And when I was born, it was right before abortion was made legal. So at that time it was illegal to have an abortion. I don't blame them for that. Hey, it would be normal to have at least those thoughts about it. So I was very lucky that I kind of snuck in under the wire there. So yes, it was good fortune for me. I consider it where every day is a blessing. Every day is bonus time. And I try and make the best of it and be grateful for each and every day. I start every day by saying thank you for today.
Well, you are lucky to be alive and you are so grateful. But at the beginning, your mother didn't see it that way. She was crying. She didn't know what to do. Can you tell us about the scene where someone even offered to buy you?
Yeah, I was kind of up for grabs there. So, I guess the weight of the situation got to my mom, and as she was working so hard, and, I guess your hormones, it's something that women, of course, who have had children can relate to. Your hormones get overactive, and she was at her machine working hard and sobbing. And when her boss came and saw this, she said, what's going on, Karina? And this is Emma and Joe, who had owned this factory. And my mom was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm pregnant. We're going to have this baby. We're broke. We're not young. I don't know how we're going to be able to manage it. And she was crying. And Emma, who had never had children and always wanted children, said to my mom, said, listen, if you don't want the baby, I've always wanted a baby. I've never been able to have one. Give me the baby. I'll give you money. I'll even give you the business, and continue to make like a proposition to her. And my mom was so shocked by it. But what it actually did was it put my mom in the mindset of saying, this is not a burden. This is a blessing. And it really talks a lot about the theme of the book as being mindset. Where you focus, how you look at things, and how you view things can literally change your life. And because she viewed it as a blessing, it changed her whole outlook. And she had a much different feeling. And there was no longer sadness. It was really joy on anticipating this blessing. So
well, if
we
you
can learn a lot from that.
If you had to calculate, just out of curiosity and just for make a hypothesis, what was the value of your head? How much were you worth at that time in your life?
I think, well, when you go back to what it was probably, several thousands of dollars and maybe the value of a business. But yeah, it's interesting how just by viewing things differently and seeing that what you have and what you are worried about, we all have problems and we all kind of sometimes get consumed in our problems, but there are so many people all over the world that would be begging to be in the situation we're in and to have the problems that we have. And I think once we understand that, it is very liberating. It is something that we can then better accept some of the circumstances that we have, which we wish were better, but appreciate the situations that we have that others would be very, very much wishing that they were in the position that we're in. And this allows us to now, with clarity and with optimism, which, by the way, optimism is a very common trait among successful people. This is a very important thing. An optimistic outlook will help you go towards any successful goal that you have just simply by having an optimistic outlook. So that mindset is so valuable.
And yeah, we in the press we complain about how rich is Jeff Bezos, how rich is Mark Zuckerberg, without realizing that on a global scale we are the 1%. We are the people who have a car that is not older than 4 or 5 years old. We have a house about 2,000 square feet. We have, all this heat and water that runs and electricity that you can just flick on and internet. We are the 1%, but it bothers us so much that Mark Zuckerberg has X amount of billions and we only have a few thousand, dollars in our bank account. But we are the 1%.
I'm so glad you bring this up because, people could be happy for what they have or miserable for what they don't have, so I'm not saying be satisfied. I think it's important that we want to strive to do better and have goals, start every day with goals. And, you need both. You need both achievement and monetary goals, which we all should have. And we talk about this a lot in the book. But alongside with that, because there's a lot of very rich people who are unhappy, you need fulfillment. And a lot of that means doing good for others. Are you helping other people? Because that's what gives you fulfillment. And one thing I realized when I was very poor, that just because I was poor, I didn't have to, first of all, I didn't have to stay there. I didn't have to be bitter. I didn't have to be unhappy. I was able to be in a position of doing good for other people. I was in a position of being able to laugh at things and be happy. Look, if I'm laughing, the feeling I'm getting from laughing is the same as Mark Zuckerberg's or Jeff Bezos. We're all going to laugh the same, okay? So I can be as happy as the richest person in the world, even without having that kind of wealth. It's all, again, about mindset. And when you think about the ability to lift others up, that's something that gives you that fulfillment and puts you in a different state where now your life has purpose. So, don't be ashamed of having goals that are monetary goals, because you can do a lot of good with the money that you do. And it does make your life a little easier, certainly, to have a little bit more money. So strive for those goals. Work on that every day.
That's one line that I highlight on your book. When we are laughing or when we are happy, we are as rich as the richest man in the world. And that makes so much sense. And I go back to my country from time to time, Colombia, and, between one city and another one, there are little towns that live without electricity and without, public service. And I see little kids playing soccer on the streets, and they have a big smile in their faces. They are so happy. And at the same time, when we come back here, we hear about someone committing suicide because she didn't get enough likes in Instagram or Facebook or whatever. So yeah, we can be when we are happy, we could be as rich as the richest person in the world.
If you were to ask me to define happiness in a single word, I would say that one that to me seems close to it would be progress. So I think making progress is great. Look, this is holiday season. We all kind of sometimes overeat. It's Thanksgiving. It's a time to be thankful. So what great timing of this time that you and I have a chance to spend together, which I appreciate. And if you think about, sometimes we gain a little weight from all the wonderful food we are able to have. And then you say, well, I want to take some weight off. Maybe you say, I want to take off 15 pounds. If you took off 5, you didn't reach your goal, but you're feeling happier because you're making progress. Whatever it is in life, making progress makes you happy. So that's why I'm saying it's important to have the goals. It's important to have things in front of you that you always want to reach for and strive for, to feel like you're getting better and you're making progress, because it makes you happier. And then if you do good for others and you lift people up by the same time, that gives you fulfillment. And I think that's what gives you that wonderful mindset and outlook.
Wow. Okay. So you grew up in poverty, but you decided that you were not going to stay there. So you started by being a street vendor. Can you tell us a little bit about how that happened, the hustle, the optimism, or what was going on in your head at that time?
Well, so yeah, I was a street hustler. I went to college. I had too much energy, and someone turned me on to selling housewares out of the trunk of my car, where I was making some bucks. You know, this felt pretty good for a kid who was always poor. And then somebody who I met on the street, who I tried to help, who was selling stereos, because they were a street vendor like me, and here I am selling housewares. But I saw him trying to sell, and I felt empathy for him, and I did some good things for him. And then the law of reciprocity in life, you know, you help others, it comes. He said, you know, you really should think about stereos. They're more profitable. I got into that, and it became very successful. I started hiring my friends. We had a ball, young kids here in their early 20s, making money, having fun, out in the sunshine. And then what would happen from there is I decided that with some of the money that I was making, that I would invest in real estate. And I saw some opportunity there because, listen, opportunities everywhere. And real estate values, I thought were at a discount in New Jersey compared to places in New York, since I hustled all over. And then from there, one night with the guy who was doing my mortgage, I just simply asked, how do guys do in the mortgage business? Tell me about it. What do you think? And by talking with others, connecting with people, asking questions, learning, I got into the mortgage business. And it was not easy, but that was really what was a big change in my life on a career path, to get into the mortgage industry and realize how great it was. You know, at first it was very, very hard because nobody wanted to give this new kid a chance to do their mortgage, the most important financial transaction. But when I made the decision a bit impulsively, because I was blessed with the birth of my children, my two first children, Dan and Nicole, who were twins. They were just 2 months old. And here I am changing careers. And when it was hard, my mindset was, no matter what, I'm not going to let these kids down. So I wasn't going to take no for an answer. While normal conventional ways didn't work for me, I decided that I was going to knock on people's doors. I decided that anybody I was going to talk to, I was going to tell them what I did, because I had a mission, I had a purpose, I had people that I was not going to let down. And from there, I've discovered the fact that there really is money in the streets. You know, when my parents would hear, when they were in Europe, the story that so many people here that are immigrants that come here, America is such a rich country, there's money in the streets. And then they come here and it's a little bit of a disillusion, because they say, wait, where's the money? This is a struggle here. My parents used to tell me this as a little boy. They would say, isn't it crazy? We thought there was really, the streets had gold in them. There was money in the streets. You just pick it up. It's such a rich country. And they would laugh about it because it was a crazy idea, but it was also sad. But as I discovered that from talking to people, and I would talk to everybody, you know, in New Jersey, the roads would have tolls. So even if I had, now back before you had the automated systems, you had to go to exact change, you put it in a bucket, or you went to a toll collector, wait online, get your change. I had the exact change, but I went to the toll collector so I could talk to somebody, gave him my business card and said, hey, if you ever need a refinance to save you some money, or if you're looking to buy a home, please call me. I had those 5 seconds while I gave them the money. And I went on. Now, my friends, I was a young guy. My friends would give me so much crap over this. Like, Barry, again, you want to go? You know, can we just go every single time? Until one day, a guy by the name of Steve Horton, he called me. I did his refinance and 17 other toll collectors that he worked with. I did them all. Now, I promise you, I was not the only mortgage professional that drove the roads and highways of New Jersey, but I saw that as an opportunity. And by viewing things this way, I was able to take advantage of chances that we all have the opportunity for, but that people miss. And then before my mom passed, I sat with her and I said, you know, Mom, you were right. There really is money in the streets. We just have to be able to see it first and look for it, pick it up, and do good for others with it. And it's overabundant.
Well, there are two things. First of all, you have to have your money glasses so you can see it in the street, because it's actually there. And then secondly, once you see it, you have to make the effort to bend your back down and pick it up. And you know, many times we do see it, but we say, no, that's not for me, that's for the immigrant. So here you come, the immigrant, and you pick it up, and then it's all unfair because you are taking somebody else's job. You
Well, can I tell you something? You're
Please.
so right, because we we oftentimes feel an idea, or we see a point of friction that we can alleviate. We say, that would be a good idea. And then we talk ourselves out of it. Oh, it'll never work. Oh, it's too hard. Oh, because it's comfortable to not do anything. It's very comfortable. But what you want to do is fight that. You want to not listen to that voice of doubt in your head. Now, listen, if it's a crazy, crazy idea, you know, try and make some educated guesses on things and try to disseminate it correctly. But there are so many things that our gut wants us to do that we just talk ourselves out of. Learn to trust your gut. I mean, this is an important lesson. I learned this when I was just a little boy with the passing of my dad. And I remember, you know, when I was just, you know, a young kid and he was in the hospital, and I went with my family to go see him. He had a heart attack, and I saw him in the hospital. He seemed okay. And, you know, I don't know what a heart attack meant. Maybe it wasn't that bad after all. And as my family left the hospital visiting him, we went to the elevator, and then something in my gut said, go back. Now, for a young kid to just trust his gut was a big step. And I told my family, the rest of my family at the elevator, wait, I'll be back. And I ran as fast as I could to see my dad lying in bed. And I just said, Daddy, I love you. And that turned out to be the last time I saw him.
Wow. You're so lucky. You're so lucky.
Yeah, I just learned more to trust my gut from that day on. When you feel something, when you hear that voice, do it.
Okay, so how does it happen? Now you have built a career as a mortgage broker. How does it happen that you get involved into these other things? You have become an international speaker. You were a Broadway producer, and then how did you get inspiration to write this book?
So, you know, when I did get into the mortgage business and did it kind of took to it like a fish through water, just seeing things that way, seeing everyone as an opportunity. I could help people, and my business grew. Then I opened up my own mortgage company, that grew, but I saw a point of friction. I saw a point of friction where interest rates were changing and people were becoming stressed out and unhappy because the market was moving and interest rates were changing, but there was no mechanism to tell the customer before it changed. Nobody was watching the market for people in the mortgage business. And as I learned about it, I said, this is an important point of friction. And I said, you know what? Why don't I do it? It's one of those things, trust your gut, don't talk yourself out of it. And again, kind of impulsively, I sold my mortgage business and I opened up a company to do exactly that. In the beginning, it was hard. I had a lot of doubts because all my friends were doing very good in the mortgage business. And here I am with this startup company struggling in the beginning, but it became a huge business. It became ubiquitous within the industry. And then I sold it for a lot of money. So that was my first step. But along the way, I started doing some speaking very early on. I first started off by doing some writing, getting picked up by people on TV, making a few TV appearances, then having my own show on CNBC for 13 years.
Wow.
Pretty much every other network put me on. And then from there, my speaking career continued to grow and grow and grow, which I still do today. But the great thing that became of being on TV is people see you, and somebody liked my voice and they said, would you like a role in a movie, a speaking role in a movie? I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be great. I'm going to be the next movie star, right? I mean, the things you think of. Well, they wanted my voice because they wanted to dress me up at this almost like a cartoon character with a pastel outfit and a big white beard to be this Colonel Kaboom in a kid's movie. But that was fun and it was a great learning experience. But then what also we have to do is network and talk to people. Oftentimes we don't do that. And because I networked and started talking to people, that grew to more and more movie opportunities. And I was actually in 9 movies. I actually made the trailer of one, Barry Monday, really big movie productions. So I've had 9 speaking opportunities in movies, but one of them, Barry Monday, which I made the trailer on, the person who wrote it showed me the script for Rock of Ages. I loved it. 4 friends and myself, we said, let's try it. Let's put it off Broadway. Good thing I didn't understand this, okay? Because if I would have understood how tough it would have been, I probably would have said no. But I went in it with my heart and it became quite a hit off Broadway. Then we took a really big chance and put it on Broadway and took a big financial risk, but people didn't think it had a chance. The theater owner was already looking for the next show before we opened because they said, we'll run for 6 weeks. We ran for over 6 years. 27th longest running show in the history of Broadway worldwide. So Yeah, listen to your gut and take those opportunities.
Wow, this is an amazing story for someone who grew up basically in so much poverty and distress. And okay, and now you decided somewhere along the line that you wanted to share your experiences and write this book. How that decision came about
So
in
many
the
people,
process as well.
thank you. So many people had said to me, Barry, you really need to be writing a book. You have quite a story, this and that. And a lot of people said, oh, well, you're really good in the mortgage industry. You understand the markets. I didn't want to write a book about the mortgage industry. I didn't want to write a book about the markets. I wanted to write it about a life story. And I just wasn't ready where I felt like I would be able to make a difference in other people's lives just yet. It's kind of like, clay that you're molding. And this is just me in my life and growing every day and understanding people more. And as I was doing more and more speaking, the speaking moved away from the markets and real estate and mortgages and more into personal growth and development. It's so interesting that even professional athletes, if you think about it, a professional athlete, almost all the training they do is on the physical skills. But when you think about it, I mean, look at even people in the Olympics. Somebody from a gold medal to no medal, it can be hundredths of 1 second. The person's not better than somebody else. They're all great. Baseball players, they're all great. Football players, soccer players, they're all great. If you're going to play professionally, you're pretty darn good. You're a very, very small percentage of the population that you can make it there. 80% of the difference is here. It's mental, it's mindset, but yet all the coaching, everything works on the 20%. So what I wanted to try and do is work on helping people with their mindset, overcoming adversity, overcoming fear, overcoming intimidation, all the things we feel, all the things that maybe we're embarrassed to talk about. How do we overcome those things? So that's the book I wanted to write. And listen, I'm so thankful and so blessed that it hit #1 on Amazon's bestseller of new releases. So I'm telling you, I was crying. I was overjoyed how wonderful, not for any financial gain, but because I hope to make a difference to help people who are reading the book overcome the same things I had to overcome.
And it's exactly that mindset that allows to see the money laying down on the streets. It's nothing else because it's there and you can either see it or not see it. But your mind has to be open to see those opportunities, to be able to take a risk. And sometimes it's not a big risk. Sometimes the risk is tonight, instead of watching Netflix, I'm going to do, I don't know, do something with the purpose of advancing my business. So you took big risk, you saw everything and started from zero again. But oftentimes most people don't have to take huge risks like that. They could take small incremental risk along the way, and then 2, 3, even 5 years later, they could be themselves in a different position.
I love talking to you because you get it. You don't have to make the jumps. It's progress every single day. Look, I eat my own home cooking. I believe you need to have a list every day of what you want to accomplish, and you move forward a little bit, a few steps every day. Because think about baseball. Baseball, you only score when you're on offense. Most of us go through life playing defense. Something comes at us, we address it. And that's admirable, and you always have to play defense, and you want to be responsible. You want to address things as they come. But unless we set the agenda, we don't score as much. We have to set the agenda. We have to say, okay, I will handle the things I need to handle, but let me make sure I'm making a little bit of progress, a little bit of forward motion every day. And for me, have a list every day of the things that I want to try and accomplish. And if I don't do it today, tomorrow, or the next day, or the longer term goals, but every day I want to move forward, and I want to push that forward while still playing defense and doing the right things and making sure I don't let anybody down. I love to, I've gotten the hobby of really liking cars and driving on the track, but I don't want to just do it in a way that is, when I do something, I like to do it right. So I've gone for a lot of lessons with professional drivers. And the best lesson that somebody ever taught me had nothing to do with being behind the wheel. It's where you look. And if you think about it, when we're taught and when we drive, the way we look, the way our vision is set, it's set at the car in front of us. That's the way we mostly drive. And what my teacher told me is, you can't do that because you'll miss all this stuff. He said, I want to give you an example. And what he did is he took a bottle of water and he put the bottle of water about 20 feet in front of me. And he says, okay, Barry, I want you to look at that bottle of water. I said, okay. He says, now, can you read the street sign over here? I said, no. He says, I want you to do this. Look at the street sign. Can you see the bottle of water? I said, yeah, of course. He says, that's how you have to drive. He says, look here, and you'll be better than 99.9% of the drivers because you will see everything that goes on while still watching the car in front of you. And I was like, wow, my mind thinks about a little bit bigger picture. And I said, that's great. If you do that, you'll be a better driver behind the wheel. But if you do it in life, you can't help but be much more successful. All of us are looking here in life. We need to look here to see all this opportunity and all these amazing things we could do. Don't be afraid to think big, to dream big. You'll still be able to do this, but now you could see the opportunity.
Yeah. I heard this saying somewhere that it costs the same to have a small dream as a big dream. So why do we stream? Why do have small dreams? Okay, so Barry, I have two more questions. First of all, I went to your website to try to do research about you, and I wonder what you're doing. I saw you giving market outlooks and how things are moving on, and but can you tell the listeners what is it that you're doing right now?
So I still do quite a bit of speaking, a lot more of it now on Zoom, of course, because of the world we live in. But let's pray to God that we move out of this and back to some normal things. It'd be nice to give people hugs and high fives and see people, because that's vital for us to do that. We need that as human beings. So still do a lot of speaking, still do quite a bit of TV. I mean, I was Fox last week. But the business that I have, what we really try to do is help people in mortgage and real estate understand every real estate market, where interest rates are heading, and give them advice as to when are the opportunities to get the best interest rates, what the opportunity is in real estate, what the home values will be doing. So it's very rewarding for me. Zillow recognized me 2 out of the past 3 years as having the most accurate real estate forecast in the United States, which was a huge honor for me and very, very, very humbling. I've been really blessed with a lot of wonderful things, but I believe it's because that when we do anything, we really do anything with the idea of trying to help other people and lift other people up. Yes, we want to move forward with one hand forward, but it's always with one hand back to try and pull and lift people along and take people with us. So I think if we all were like that, I mean, just think about the wonderful world that we'd have to live in, rather than people, kind of doing this with each other. Let's help pull people together and lift people.
Right.
One thing we are doing, can I just mention this? So it just came together. So I'm very blessed and lucky. Tony Robbins, who is just an amazing human being, I can call him a dear friend. So him and the head of Wheels Up, which is private aviation, Kenny Dichter, another amazing human being, and we are going to be doing something because Broadway's closed. We want for the holidays to take Broadway to the general public. So we're going to be putting this out there. We're going to do a small Rock of Ages presentation on Zoom, where we're going to be doing Feeding America. The proceeds will go towards Meals Up and Feeding America. So we want to do something nice for the holidays. We want to help people. We want to bring a little joy into people's lives and give people a chance to spend a few dollars to enjoy something, but know that that money is also going to be doing good for others.
Okay, if you send me the link, then I will possibly put it in the show notes. And of course, now the last question: where can people follow you, buy the book, and know what is it that you're up to?
So the book is available on Amazon. It's available Barnes & Noble. It's Kindle. It will be available on Audible. I did it myself with the Audible reading. A professional reader probably would be better, but I wanted it to come from me. It's kind of like home cooking. Maybe it's home cooking. It's a little burned on the edges some places, but it still has a lot more flavor. And that's why I wanted to do it that way. But people can find me easily anywhere. You can look me up on the internet. It's easy. The company is MBS Highway, but if you look me up on Facebook or LinkedIn as Barry Habib, or Instagram, easy to find.
Barry, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, it is such a privilege to spend time with you, my friend. Thank you. God bless you. And I wish everyone such a healthy, happy, and wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. Thank you so much.